It was a quiet morning in Milltown. The streets were still calm. The corner cafe had just served its first coffees, and an old rusty Ford F-150 rumbled slowly through the sleepy streets. When the flashing blue lights came on, no one paid attention. A routine stop, they thought. But for these two sheriff deputies, this truck was no ordinary vehicle. No license plate, leaking exhaust, and behind the wheel, an old man, alone, silent, eyes fixed straight ahead. Hands steady on the wheel. Before we go on, tell me, where are you listening from? Leave a comment below. It's touching to see how far our community reaches. If this story already intrigues you, hit like and subscribe. For you, it's a moment. For us, it's everything. Now, get ready, because what you're about to hear is not just a story, it's a lesson for life. His name was John Jack Mitchell. He was 83 years old, but looked younger. Not because time forgot his face, but because his eyes stayed sharp, direct, alive. That morning, he was coming back from the hardware store. In the back of his old pickup were boards, nails, glue, and tools. He was finishing a ramp for Mr. Harris, his neighbor who had become disabled after a surgery gone wrong. It wasn't the first time he helped, and he never asked for anything in return. He wore a worn flannel shirt, unbuttoned at the collar, jeans faded and worn, a faded baseball cap with the Green Berets insignia almost erased by the sun. His hands, strong, marked, calloused, hands that had built more than just ramps or furniture. But no one really knew who Jack was, and he liked it that way. In town, only a few people knew him. He was the kind of man who greeted with a simple nod, helped without speaking, and disappeared before anyone could say thanks. A quiet, caring shadow in the streets of Milltown. "What's this junker doing on the road?" one deputy sneered. "Did you steal this old man? Or did you just forget how to drive?" The two deputies mocked him, feeling proud. One tapped the rusty hood with his fist. The other walked around the truck, taking notes on his tablet. Jack didn't answer. He stayed still, hands on the wheel, eyes straight ahead. No visible license plate, no registration sticker, nothing, said the younger deputy. "This truck shouldn't even be on the road. Do you have insurance? Papers. Please step out of the vehicle." Jack obeyed, without a word. His movements were slow but precise. He got out, stood next to the truck without resistance. "Do you have an ID?" Jack pulled out his wallet. Inside, an old ID card, an old driver's license, and a small notebook held by a rubber band. The deputy opened it. "What is this? Codes? Names? Men I served with." He said nothing more. The deputy laughed. "He thinks he's still at war." They made him sit on the sidewalk. The sun was already heating the concrete, but Jack didn't move. He said nothing. Not when he was called hostile on the radio. Not when someone started filming from a distance. A young man on a bike stopped, took a photo, and laughed. "Look, Grandpa the criminal." Cars passed slowly. No one stopped. Only Jack, silent, sitting next to a truck ready to die. But this man was not ready to fade away. The two sheriff deputies kept joking, but neither asked the simplest question: who is this man really? Yet, if you looked closely, the answer was clear. Those hands had built shelters in storms and cold. Those knees, now resting on the concrete, had marched countless miles in silence, carrying a heavy pack, following orders without question. Jack was a Green Beret. Missions never told, borders never drawn on maps. Bosnia, Lebanon, Afghanistan. Years of losing brothers in arms. Learning that silence sometimes saves more lives than words. That notebook they mocked was a war journal. Names carefully written, some circled, others crossed out. Fallen comrades, respected leaders. Boys turned into men in mud and dust. And that old pickup truck? The rust bucket, they called it? Jack had fixed it himself, piece by piece, after coming home. For years, it carried food to families isolated by snowstorms, oxygen tanks during the pandemic. medicine to nursing homes during last year's flood, but in official records, there was nothing. To the system, Jack was just an old man with a broken truck, but to those who knew how to see, he was much more. Time passed, but no one seemed in a hurry to end the situation. The two sheriff deputies moved to the shade, talking quietly. Jack stayed seated on the hot concrete. Strong knees, eyes far away, silent. Sometimes a car passed by. Some slowed down. Others started filming. But no one stopped. No one asked questions. Until a woman's voice crossed the street. "That's Mr. Mitchell. He built the ramp for my dad last year. He did it all alone. He never took a penny." One of the deputies raised his hand. "Ma'am, please step back. It's procedure. We can't tell you anything." She hesitated, looked at Jack, shook her head, and walked away. But she had said enough. The baker heard. The gas station clerk heard. The cafe owner froze. In minutes, the whole street knew. But no one moved, except one. Mike, the gas station attendant, took out his phone. He had known Jack for years. He recognized him by the cap. Not for what he said, but for what he did. He dialed a number he kept in his memory. "General Taylor? This is Mike. They're making a big mistake in Milltown. They arrested, yes, him." 40 minutes passed. Jack was still sitting. The sun beat down hard. The asphalt shimmered in the heat. The two sheriff deputies started to fidget. Less arrogant now, but still detached. Then, at the 59th minute, a sound broke the silence. At first, faint, almost a whisper. Then, windows began to vibrate. People looked up. Phones turned on. A military helicopter appeared above Milltown. This was no drill. It slowly descended, following the rooftops. Matte gray. Marked with army insignia, the side door was open. It made 2 passes over the town square. Then it dropped lower and landed with surgical precision in a nearby empty lot. A cloud of dust rose. The deputies shielded their faces. People watched from windows. Phones filmed non-stop. The machine touched down. The door opened. A first officer stepped out. Then a second. And finally, a large man. Confident walk. Steely gaze. Lieutenant General James Taylor. 4 stars on his chest. He walked straight forward. No detours. Whispers stopped. The crowd froze. He faced the deputies, stared at them for a long time. The 2 deputies stiffened. The younger tried to snap to attention, awkwardly. The other gave a brief salute, visibly nervous. Neither dared to speak. "Who arrested this man?" Silence. He gave a small nod toward Jack. "This man taught me how to survive. He saved my life when I was 22. He taught me a word you seem to have forgotten today. Respect." Then he turned to Jack. "With your permission, Sergeant." Jack stood up, without help, with dignity. "Permission granted, General." When Lieutenant General James Taylor turned to the crowd, silence fell instantly. Even the children stopped talking. Instinctively, he took a deep breath. Then he pointed to Jack. "This man is not just a veteran. He is Sergeant First Class John Mitchell. 3 overseas missions. Over 40 years of service. He saved lives, built shelters under fire, brought civilians home from places that don't even exist on maps." A nurse in uniform stepped forward. "He built the ramp for my mother, and every Thursday he delivered groceries to our nursing home." An elderly man with a cane raised his voice. "He taught my grandson respect for the mountains. He saved his life during a hike, and no one ever knew." The general nodded, without surprise, but with sincere gravity. "He does not seek the spotlight. He never has, but today, everyone needs to know." He slowly turned to the 2 deputies, now clearly uncomfortable. "You wear a uniform, and you have a duty to enforce the law. But if you can't also show judgment, that uniform means nothing. Today, you saw an old man, not his story, not his worth." One of the deputies whispered, almost trembling, "We didn't know." Jack, standing tall, answered in a calm voice, "That's exactly why we respect first and judge later." The general stepped back, saluted. Jack returned the salute, back straight, eyes moist.
At that moment, there was no old man on the sidewalk. There was a soldier, a master, a man.
The next day, the story was everywhere. Videos, articles, thousands of comments. A veteran humiliated, defended by a general. He saves a country in silence, then is humiliated on the street. Who really is John Mitchell? Milltown City Hall didn't waste time. June 6th was officially declared Respect Day. But Jack didn't change a thing. The following Monday, he was already at work, building a new ramp. This time for an elderly lady who had fallen at home. In 1 week, donations surpassed $100,000 from all over the country. Families, associations, veterans, strangers. All wanted to help. Thus was born the John Mitchell Initiative, a national project to build ramps, access and adaptations, for the elderly, for veterans, for the forgotten, to break down barriers, not just concrete ones. And the 2 deputies, they weren't punished, but something inside them changed. The younger one, Max, showed up one night at the veteran's home. Not in uniform, alone, silent. Jack welcomed him simply, offered him coffee, and said only, "The important thing is that you understood." From that day on, Max came back every week. He helped, listened, learned, and soon others followed his example. The brigade commander added a new rule to the training program. Every new recruit must read the John Mitchell file. It's not mandatory, but no one ever skips it. Time passed, but Jack stayed the same. Every morning at 8 o'clock sharp, his old pickup truck creaked down Main Street. Always him behind the wheel. Always the same sound. Always the same mission. And today, when he passes by the sheriff's office, someone steps outside. Not to arrest him, to greet him. A simple gesture. A raised hand, a look that says everything. No ceremony, no medals, just respect. Silent, but real. Next to the sidewalk where he was stopped, there is now a bronze plaque. Engraved on it, a simple phrase, "You never know who you're stopping." And that phrase is not just for the deputies. It's for all of us. John Mitchell's story is not just about an old man. It's about a country that sometimes forgets those who built it. In silence, with hard work, with humility. This is not a military lesson. It's a human lesson. And you? Have you ever been judged too quickly? Have you ever seen someone mistreated just because of their appearance? Share your story in the comments. Every voice counts. And if this story touched you, like, subscribe, and share it. Because maybe someone near you needs this reminder. Kindness doesn't make noise, but it leaves a mark. Thank you for listening. See you in the next episode.